Yes. You're being heard. We signal to you that you're being heard. Lord.
Okay.
Yes. You're being heard. We signal to you that you're being heard. Lord.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, executive members of the Working People's Alliance. Welcome to this special press conference of the Working People's Alliance. This press conference is intended to address events unfolding at Linden over the last 48 to 72 hours. At the head table is executive member and co-leader and the presidential candidate of the Working People's Alliance, Professor David Hines, co-leader Takumo Gonsi, and co-leader Joet Kanai. I now hand you over to Professor David Hines, co-leader and presidential candidate, who will read the party's statement.
Good morning to members of the media and the general public. WPA is outraged by naked violence, state violence at Linden. Let's cut through all the politically incorrect talk. 2 policemen pulled the triggers that led to the slaughter of Ronaldo Peters and 10 Coach Nalens. I hope I get that right. Let's cut through at Linden on Monday and Tuesday. But intellectual authors are the collective government which has presided over the most state murders in the post-colonial history of Guyana. WPA reiterates its strongly held view that this PPP government encourages police violence against citizens, especially the poorest and the darkest, in exchange for the political loyalty of the police force. The politicization of the police force is the root cause of the normalization of police violence in contemporary Guyana. WPA is outraged by the orgy of official violence which has been unleashed on the Linden community. Yet again, the government of Guyana has turned its guns on its poorest, most defenseless citizens. WPA asks, when will this willful bloodletting stop? Have we overcome the guns and violence of slavery, indentureship, and colonialism, only to be constantly butchered by the guns and violence of one Guyana? Policemen and women are not violent people. They're not born killers. But armed with the weapons of the state and assured of protection by the government, a few of them are transformed into reckless gunslingers. What happened at Linden over the last couple of days is beyond what we have come to know as extrajudicial killings. The incidents there can only be described as willful murders. The evidence speaks for itself. plainclothes police approach an unarmed youth, shoots him in full view of the public, and deposits him in a vehicle. The people protest the murder. The police open fire on them, and another young man is killed. Reports are that he was a mere bystander. But the fact of the matter is that the police, fresh from the murder on Monday, did not even restrain themselves on Tuesday. To them, Peters and the crowd protesting his murder were deserving of instant bullets. Their humanity does not exist. WPA is not convinced by the words of the president and his belated visit to Linden. How many times have we seen this script in the last 3 decades? We declare that the president and his government can no longer hide behind officialdom and the veil of innocence. The truth of the matter is that this government has done absolutely nothing to address the root cause or causes of police violence. To the contrary, it has draped itself with the flag of official violence. As it was in the case of the murder of the 3 Linden men in 2012, and the recent murders of Quindon Bacchus, Peter Headley, and Orrin Boston, along with the hundreds who perished at the hands of officialdom and para-officialdom, the PPP's hands are dripping with guilt and blood. This confounded nonsense must stop. WPA mourns with the people of Linden, the families of the slain brothers, and the vulnerable poor in Guyana. If we do not call for calm in Linden, as others have been quick to do, it is because the WPA feels the wrenching pain of the loved ones and the other youths whose names are written on police bullets, waiting to be discharged. The people of Linden have a right to be angry and to express that anger. No politician or political party should dare stop them or strip them of that human right. Those people have not lost a few dollars. They have lost 2 precious lives. Why should they retreat into their homes and cede the open space to their killers? WPA regrets the injuries to police ranks. We do not condone violence from any quarter or of any sort. But in the face of official violence, we cannot encourage cowardice. The space between violence and cowardice is the essence of human resistance to tyranny. We therefore support the spontaneous resistance of the people at Linden. It is their only defense against inhumanity. It is high time the Guyanese people put an end to state violence. Only they can do it. No amount of oil and infrastructure can sanitize the stench of state violence. The president's early call for the non-politicization of the incidents at Linden is an insult to our intelligence. How else to react to the supreme political act of official murder? The president, by his call for non-politicization, is more concerned with protecting his political kingdom than with justice for the victims of political murder. Our people are given meager cash handouts with one hand and a volley of bullets with the other hand. In the words of the Calypsonian John King, how many more WPA asked? Also in the words and spirit of Baba Eyusi Kwayana, this confounded nonsense must stop. In the wake of the events in Linden, Baba's call for a one-day fast is now more necessary than ever. Let us make it a national day of fasting in solidarity with the families, the victims, and the people of Linden. We in the WPA reject police investigation and the RSS probe that is announced by the president. WPA supports an official investigation because it is the politically correct thing to do. It is also a legal requirement. But we are not hopeful that anything profound will ensue. History supports our pessimism. We also have no confidence in the police investigative mechanism. We further reject the proposed RSS investigation. It's a waste of time. The memory of the Henry Boy saga is fresh in our collective minds. The RSS came, they went, and what we had was the sanitization of murder. Only a reputed international human rights body will win WPA's cautious confidence. We do not trust any agency that may have a vested interest in Guyana. They will throw justice under the bus in exchange for favors from the Guyana government. Perhaps an approach should be made to the United Nations Human Rights Council to recommend a competent agency to come to Guyana to do the investigation. This is more than a police issue. It is a human rights issue. Even as we mourn the deaths of two young men, here in Georgetown, the official rigging of the upcoming elections unfolds unabated. GCOM's decision not to renew the contract of its legal officer is another way of saying you are fired. This is yet another lethal nail in the coffin of democracy and fairness at that pivotal constitutional body, and by extension, in Guyana. Once again, the chairperson, the balancer, and the instrument of impartiality on a partisan commission has sided with one side to deliver GCOM into the hands of the PPP. This time, she has gone against her own judgment. Having previously given Mr. De Silva a high passing grade, she now joins the PPP commissioners in dismissing him. This is a blatant case of getting rid of an employee because of excellent performance. WPA is enraged that the GCOM majority has fired its legal officer for giving his learned opinion to the court on a crucial constitutional matter. According to Commissioner Alexander, the chair justified her decision by the argument that his legal opinion could potentially upset GCOM's work, including triggering a postponement of the upcoming election. WPA asks, since when the upsetting of a timetable is more important than the law itself? Clearly, GCOM's chair is acting as judge and jury rather than as the impartial chair of the commission. This recent decision represents nothing short of tyranny of the majority. Under such circumstances, GCOM cannot be relied on to conduct impartial elections. WPA repeats its view that the majority of the commission is forcing Guyana into a political crisis of major proportions. We again call on the Guyanese people, their organizations, and the international community to act before it is too late. We repeat our mantra today: this confounded nonsense must stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hines. Thank you, Dr. Hines. We're now going to co-leader. We're now going to co-leader Takumo Gonse for statements. Brother Takumo. Is Brother Takumo there?
You have to unmute yourself, Brother Takumo. Brother Roy, you have to unmute yourself too. Brother Roy, you can go ahead while Brother Takumo sorts himself out.
Thank you, Brother Hines. I would like to point out the term used, I think as far back as 2005. It was biological atavism, I think coined by Ravi Dev. I think this phrase captures the philosophy of the PPP. It sees Black people as less than human. I repeat, the PPP sees Black lives as less than human. It believes it can buy and sell Black lives as if it's a commodity, not a precious human being. Dr. Jagan himself had said, Blacks are at the bottom rung of the social ladder. He was repeating a phrase from American politicians. We have to ask ourselves who are at the top of the social ladder, because Blacks remain at the bottom of the social ladder in Guyana, and they are treated as such by the rulers. We have to change that philosophy. That philosophy reveals itself in Gaza as we see how human lives are decimated as if there is no value to it. We in Guyana are facing terrible times if this mindset is allowed to continue. The gunning down of these two brothers cannot be condoned simply as random police violence. The mentality that you can shoot live bullets at people, persons, human beings, as if human lives are not involved, that there's not a target on the other end of the bullet, is beyond the imagination. The bullet will find a target. It is deliberately being shot into the bodies of human beings. Police action does not automatically call for such a response. There are many ways of dealing with people when the situation calls for some defense that does not have to be lethal. It seems as if the first response of the police is to be lethal. And that has to be a mindset that has been inculcated by the rulers as a means of dealing with peaceful protests. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Wade. Brother Takuma, you may proceed.
Brother Takuma, you need to put on your video.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you, but your video is off. And now your audio is off.
How is it?
Good, you're good to go now.
Thank you, Brother Chair, members of the press, and those who are viewing this conference. I want to join with the party, our collective condemnation of the brutal shooting of those two youngsters in Linden by police. And I'm deliberately using the term PPP police because this is a matter of police shooting under the PPP that has a long history. We have been dealing with this matter for decades. And we have seen a consistent behavior by the PPP when it comes to police brutality of African people. The PPP promotes that. They have a political investment in it. They see it as the surest way of intimidating and controlling the African political and social responses to the political process that does not put them, the PPP, in direct physical contact with the African community. It is the classical divide and rule tactics. And I want to warn, I want to make two on this. The first one, I want to warn them that any government who systematically and consistently condition the police and the security force in general, who is of another ethnic group or another race, to perpetuate violence on its own people, will one day find that that same police force will perpetuate violence on them and their people, matter of time. I want to put it again in the historic record. there could be no sensible political value in such behavior. And the second point I want to make is that what we have seen in Linden is that the spirit of resistance is uncrushable. Nobody could say that that protest was instigated by the opposition. It came as a result of oppression by a state agency and the unwillingness of the rulers to take swift and appropriate action. And we, the local forces, did not organize the response. We have no business in telling the people when to stop. It is their activity. Our business is to denounce the police and denounce the government and to provide sustenance for the people to express the outrage and the resistance against the brutality in defense of the humanity. That's for the opposition. Not always throw cold water in the context where we know that the PPP will never address this problem to the satisfaction of the African community. They will never allow the law to be upheld, because for the investment in the police and the police shooting African people, for them is an investment in defense of their survival as a government and a political force. I don't know the ethnicity of the shooters, but I am prepared, based upon my long association with this matter, to take the political risk to say they're two Africans. This GCOM take over. As the WPA says, the consequences of it are clear. And we reiterate that this, in our judgment, would not end well. It would not end well. And just how you had the unexpected resistance in Linden along this road, there likely to be a lot of unexpected resistance, because people take so much and no more. The political opposition, whether correctly or incorrectly, has invested in conditioning the masses of the country to expect salvation out of these elections. And that, in a nutshell, is why they throw cold water on resistance, and they throw cold water on post-electoral struggles to resolve some of the problems inherent in the election engagement. Putting all the eggs in the electoral basket, that winning the elections will create opportunity to solve all the problems. But what they're downplaying, either deliberately or through ignorance, I don't know. But the elections can't resolve the problems in the country if the elections are free and fair, and if there's not a level playing field. And the present GCOM is a GCOM that have carried us right back to post-1990s. This is the most partisan commission post-92. And it is hard to believe that this commission could deliver fair and free elections. And every action I've seen over the last 3-4 years have been consistent with the PPP's domination and Madam Chair collaboration. And at some point, Guyanese is going to rise up. And when they rise up, I have to tell them to go back home. Peace without justice. I thank you.
Thank you, Brother Takuma. Are there any questions from the media? As they say at the auctions, going once, going twice. All right, there being no questions, Dr. Hines, do you have any remarks you'd like to make in closing?
Well, again, we would just like to thank the media for, again, coming out to our press conference. We know that our media workers are very hard workers, and this is a busy day, a busy time, and they have to split their time. And we want to thank them for attending our press conference. We hope that the message that we have put in the public domain today can help to bring some sanity to the situation. WPA feels very, very strongly on these issues because they're issues that we have had to deal with from the birth of our party and even before. And we feel that we cannot play politics with people's lives. So if today we have not said the politically correct things, it is deliberate because we want to draw Guyana's attention to the fact that lives are precious, human lives are precious, and they cannot be played with. We also want to reiterate that we are not in the business of frustrating public demonstration and outrage against the government. Nobody went to Houston the other morning to tell the crowd that was defending Mr. Mohammed to get off the streets and go home. And nobody should tell the people of Linden to get off the streets and go home. It is not a case where the people of Linden are losing 2 sports cars or 3 sports cars. They've lost 2 lives. They've lost 2 lives. And too often our politicians are too quick to go in front of the cameras and to sound politically correct. They are only aiding oppression. And the WPA says to the people, I repeat my brother Ogunse's exhortation here this morning. We political activists and politicians did not organize that protest, and we have no right to shut down that protest. Let the people make their voices heard. As Dr. King said, people demonstrate in certain ways because they want to be heard. They are not heard. And it's a way of saying to the world, we are suffering and we must be heard. Our brother Kanai, Brother Rohit Kanai, today said something that has been said so often, but coming from this brother this morning, it is a telling commentary on where we are as a country. We like to bury the issue of race and racism, but the ghost of racism never goes away. It confronts us at every twist and turn. It stares us in the face. And every time a policeman pulls a trigger and takes the life of a descendant of the enslaved, as Brother Bob Marley said, our blood runs cold. Every time we hear the crack of the whip, our blood runs cold. Every time we hear the blast from a gun, cutting down the life and the lives of young men, our blood runs cold. Today, Guyanese blood run cold again. Again and again, we have the same drama unfolding before our very eyes. How many more? How many more? When will this stop? Obviously, the state and the government have no desire, none, to stop it. And where our state and our government fail us, then we, the people, have to free ourselves. Murder, state violence is the opposite of freedom. We will not be a free people until we are able to tame the beasts that runs in the ranks of our state agency, our state agencies. We say the vast majority of our policemen and women, including those who pull those triggers, are ordinary human beings, but it is the state and the government that turns them into beasts. We have to confront that beast in us, because those young men and women come from our families. They come from our bowels. And if they are going to cease destroying the great legacy of Kofi and Accra and Atta and all the freedom fighters who fought against state violence, then we, the people, we, their fathers, their husbands, their wives, their children, must hold their hands and steer them away from those deadly triggers. Thank you.